Thank you for selecting me as a finalist in the governance category. My piece is titled, Boosting Public Safety by Changing Legal Age Requirements. My name is Leah Wlodarek, and I am a career public servant with the province of Ontario. For the past decade, I have been a liquor inspector and visited Ontario's bars checking for minors and drunks. I think that lowering the drinking age from 19 years old to either 18 or to coincide with the completion of high school would help improve public safety by reducing the risks young people are exposed to in clandestine drinking situations. Conversely, I want to raise the driving age to 18 or upon graduation and provide consistent driver's education in our schools to create safer roadways. Providing driver's training would bring down insurance costs, lighten the burden on the healthcare system, and reduce the amount of repair work needed on roadways. I recently watched a civil rights video in which an activist was asked what made her feel like she could make a difference. Her answer was to bloom where you are planted. I don't have a solution to the First Nations water crisis, or doctor shortages, or income inequality. But I do have a Bachelor of Commerce in Hospitality and Tourism Management and a lot of experience throughout the field, and I see opportunities for improvement. The problem is, when young people can't drink legally, they drink illegally. They drink at house parties and bush parties and frat parties. A culture of binge drinking and lack of supervision create more risk in these social settings. Bars have inspectors and licensing requirements and police presence. I have helped countless incapacitated females get home, but I could only do that because they were old enough to be in a bar. I looked to the United States with a drinking age of 21, and they have frat boys singing on the news that no means yes. We have to find a better way to reduce the harm our young adults are exposed to, and I think bringing their drinking out of the darkness is the first step. There is currently an epidemic of suicide in our society, from youth on the reserve, to police officers in their locker rooms, to students in their dorm rooms. What can we do to put an end to it? When I created my submission, I had just spoken to a friend grappling with how to tell her kids that their friend had committed suicide. My heart broke for all of them, and I asked myself, what could make a beautiful young girl who just left home on a scholarship want to kill herself? The Netflix show 13 Reasons Why chronicles the aftermath of a teen's suicide following a sexual assault at a house party. What if getting these young people into licensed establishments could help prevent some of these sexual assaults? What if preventing those sexual assaults helped to prevent some suicides? Beyond suicide, when youth participate in high-risk drinking, such as binge drinking, drinking games, chugging, or funneling, they increase the risk of dying from alcohol poisoning. Beer pong is illegal in Ontario bars because we know it promotes a moderate consumption. We identified a risk and put in place a measure to reduce it. That's what I see about lowering the drinking age. The Age of Majority and Accountability Act states that every person ceases to be a minor on attaining 18 years of age. A man recently told me of his son in the armed forces who won't be able to have a drink at his homecoming because he's only 18 years old. As part of my job, I've been required to attend military bases and confirm that none of the underage members are drinking. You can fly a plane, shoot a gun, or die for your country, but we don't trust you to have a drink. You can vote or get married or buy lottery tickets, but you can't buy a drink. The provinces on either side of us utilize 18 as their drinking age, as do many European countries. Many of the arguments around the legal drinking age have to do with youth and impaired driving. Statistically, there are fewer young drivers on the road. Although they may drive impaired, the reality is if you are going to be hit by a drunk driver, 9 times out of 10, you are being hit by an adult. It's not the youth who aren't getting the message regarding impaired driving. It's the adults. Before my job with the Alcohol and Gaming Commission, I was an insurance adjuster. I came across young people reporting their 5th, 6th, even their 11th accident. Their only concern was who would insure them and for how much. High school students need to develop their judgment before sitting behind the wheel. According to statistics from Mad Canada, traffic deaths are the largest cause of death to young people, accounting for 33% of deaths of 15 to 19-year-olds, and half of those are alcohol-related. I propose we raise the driving age to coincide with high school graduation, or 18 years old. We are putting people in charge of vehicles that can cause death and destruction, and we are relying on them to have the funds to make them a competent operator. Program fees for driver's training courses range from $200 to over $1,000. Let's start training people consistently so that we can start alleviating some of the burden on family budgets, as well as the healthcare system, the police, and everyone else who has to attend these accidents. By providing driver's training in school, we will hopefully see a reduction in insurance rates as a result of fewer claims. By changing both the driving age and legal age to coincide with graduation, it will be a rite of passage, while also discouraging super seniors, those students who don't graduate on time and end up well over the legal age while still in high school. 19 years old made sense as a drinking age when we had OAC. But now students are going to university at 17 and 18 years old, and it is dangerous to mix underage and legal drinkers. It promotes a culture where it is either a game to get minors into a bar, which results in trouble for the bar owners, or it means that legal drinkers are buying quantities of alcohol from the LCBO, and minors are binge drinking because there's no portion control or supervision. Allowing young people to drink upon high school graduation creates a level playing field when people go to university. Last week, I had to change the conclusion to my presentation. Originally, I wanted us to take this opportunity to revisit the legal drinking age ahead of marijuana legislation so that we can bring everything in line with a consistent age. But since then, Ontario has announced 19 is the legal age, going against the Federal Marijuana Task Force, which recommended a legal age of 18, stating that age restrictions on their own would not dissuade youth, and 18 was a well-established milestone in Canadian society marking adulthood. Politicians are elected to bring forth the voices of their constituents. The day after Justin Trudeau was elected, people were waiting for marijuana legislation, but the public was told to wait, that the experts needed to weigh in. If those opinions were so important that nothing could move forward without them, why weren't they listened to? If we're not listening to the public and we're not taking the advice of experts in the field, who are we listening to and why? My conclusion is I shouldn't have to be here to bring forward my ideas. I work for the Alcohol Commission. We need more forums where we can identify and resolve outdated laws and practices. Nurses and doctors have answers to healthcare shortages. Police officers have answers to improving community relations. Social workers have answers to childhood hunger and abuse. They need someone to amplify their voices and give them the resources to act. After all, isn't that what good governance is all about? Thank you very much.